So, hello everyone. Today we have Dr. Hemant Kumar with us. Dr. Hemant Kumar has brilliant knowledge about digital health and other aspects of health. So, we would start away directly with his knowledge. So, first of all, how are you, sir?
Hi, thank you. I'm doing very well.
He's doing well, of course. So, we'll talk about digital health implementation, and Dr. Hemant has good experience in it, like being an IT director, being a health director at good companies. I'll not name the companies right now, he'll name them himself, but we'll start it right away. So, Dr. Hemant, what do you think about, first of all, digital health, since that is our topic, that is our theme? So, what do you think about digital health? What is digital health?
Okay, so everything around us, if you notice, has a E in front of us. There is e-sign, e-mudra, e-medicine, and E here is really the thing for digitization and computerization. So every aspect of our society is getting sort of digital, and same is true about digital health as well. So right from preventive to curative to palliative care, if you look at from that spectrum, or from a patient management standpoint, management of well-being, all these aspects are now being touched by digital health. So in diagnosis, in treatment, in management, in population health, all the aspects are now being covered under digital health. And worldwide, there is a huge trend towards this. But in India, as you would have noticed with the COVID app, we are one of the stunning examples in the world where more than 1 billion doses of vaccine got delivered, and everybody has a digital certificate to show for it.
Right. So, sir, since you talked about preventive health, curative health, I'll not go into preventive health aspect. I'll go into curative health aspect. So, you told that digitalization is there in diagnostics, in patient care, and everything else. Would you shed a little light upon that? How digitalization is working in diagnostics, in hospital softwares? What is exactly happening in the whole era?
Okay, so when you look at digitization or computerization of a hospital, there are two ways to look at it. One is the journey that a patient would undertake in a hospital. The other would be what are the constituent components of a hospital. So let's look at the journey that a patient would take in a hospital. You would get into hospital. You would want to, for example, even before you get into hospital, you would want to know what doctors are there, what kind of treatments are there, what kind of prices that I need to pay, when can I see a particular doctor. All that information can be and is being made available on an app or on a website. Patient enters, gets registered. Now, starting from that point onwards, a hospital information system sort of takes over. So your admission, the doctor that you're going to see. Now, then the next step gets digitized, which is when the doctor sees you, the doctor is going to capture details of your visit, your complaints, the treatment you've been given, the tests you've been prescribed. Thereafter, the patient is going to move to any of the allied departments. So patient is going to go to, let's say, a pharmacy, give blood sample, get an X-ray done. These individual units would have specialized software. So it would be a RIS-PAC system in the radiology, a lab information system in the path lab, a blood bank would have a blood bank management software. So the whole journey of the patient is sort of being tracked, and data is being collected during the entire journey that a patient undertakes whenever interacting with the hospital. So that is really what is happening in this sphere.
So, sir, since you talked about using softwares and the technology in hospitals, how is this patient centric? Like, this is used in hospital. So, how would this help patients in the future?
Oh, this is an excellent question, because hospitals are collecting the information, and then the patient is going to walk out of the hospital and everything is going to stay with the hospital. So, if you will allow me a little divergence, I myself have tried to address this. So, I run a platform called Health Fort, and I've built an app and a software precisely to sort of address this. The data from the hospital resides in the patient's EHR. Whatever inputs patient is providing, whatever additional tests the patient is getting, everything converges in one place, and that is something owned by the patient. So whenever patient goes to some other hospital or interacts with the same hospital's doctor, all that information through the app is available to the patient, to the doctor, to the caregivers. So this currently is actually a lacuna in the health system.
Right.
That patient's journey is fragmented. You go to A hospital, that data is with A hospital. You go to B, that data is with hospital B. Now the government is trying to address this through the National Digital Health Mission. So
Right.
government is now saying here is a single repository of a patient's electronic health record. Wherever you go, some amount of information has to be put into the central repository, so the tests are not duplicated. Treatments are not duplicated. Unnecessary investigations are not duplicated. So it's a very good point that you made, and there needs to be a concerted effort that it is the patient who owns the data, and wherever patient desires, that data is available for the patient to share with the appropriate care provider,
Right.
share with the relatives, with well-wishers, with see it themselves for their own analysis
Right.
and understanding.
So since you also talked about getting all the data online, that is digitalization of data as well. So there are a few point of concerns which I would like to talk about. First is nowadays I also see TPA delays. If patients go for insurance panels, right, there is too much delay. Like since there is a very good technology nowadays working, then also there is too much delay. First is this. Second is cybersecurity and privacy, which is a very good like great thing nowadays. Like people have to be secure, people have to be private. But since you saw the incident that happened quite few days ago in Ames, right, more than 2 crore people's data was taken, was stolen, and those people were asking for some ransom, right? So what can we do about cybersecurity, and what can we do about delays in insurance and TPAs?
Okay. First, let me deal with the TPA question. I think the systems are still in the infancy, and we need to move towards a system which is more akin to what happens in financial transactions between the banks.
Right.
So there's a central clearing house. So when now you present a check, initially the check would go to the branch and then would see everything. Now that system has changed to a trust-based system.
Right.
Similarly, something similar needs to come to this TP industry, that if you had followed checks A through B, I mean A, B, C, D, all the checks are there. Whatever you had said would happen has already happened. You would automatically process that particular claim. So unless there are exceptions, it needs to move to an exception-based system rather than an approval-based system.
Right.
That if you did what the format the TPA wanted, and the hospital has provided you with that,
Right.
then it is automatically processed rather than requiring human intervention.
Right.
Right now, there is just too much variability in the diagnosis, the treatment provided, and what additional things that the patient got done, and then everything kind of manually needs to get checked. The bills need to be verified. That needs to move away to a more trust-based and a more exception-based system.
Right.
So that is one thing. Cybersecurity is a very, very important thing. Most people don't realize that when you send information from point A to B, it's like sending information on a postcard. I don't know how many readers or the viewers would have actually seen what a postcard is, but practically anybody can see what's written on a postcard.
Right.
The only reason they don't see is that because there's just far too many of them that they won't bother. I think we need to be significantly more aware that whatever we are doing requires a level of cybersecurity.
Right.
Almost exactly the way we are aware of physical security, whether at home, whether at our office, we remember to lock the cupboard, we remember to shut down our computer, we remember to lock the house. I think the awareness among people needs to be significantly high.
Right.
B, there need to be mandatory standard that anybody who is making a health app, a website, anybody who's dealing with healthcare related data has to have a certain standards based code. Like if you put your app on Google Store or Apple Store, the code goes through mandatory checks automatically to see if there is any malware in it. Right. Something like that needs to be there, that if you will put out anything in the public domain, it will have a basic certain minimum standards of security inbuilt into the platform.
So I would like to extend it in this aspect. We also have to store our data privately, right? So is India looking forward to make its own cloud, or will we be getting cloud from the external sources from the foreign companies itself?
I don't really think that this is a problem that needs to be looked this way. I mean, India is going to be one of the largest data center markets in the world.
Right.
We are adding data center space like massively.
Right.
So the technology to build data centers, to create a cloud, to store the data, financial data already is required by law to be localized here in India.
Right.
I don't think that is the issue, that whether we can going to have a cloud of our own. I mean, we have multiple clouds. They are all existing in India. Some amount of data exchange with other cloud providers is inevitable, because if you're going to build silos, it's going to defeat the purpose. We're going to go back to an area where I don't talk to your system, and your system doesn't talk to
Right.
somebody else's. What is paramount is, again, what we have been discussing: security and standards, so that the information, especially in healthcare arena, is interoperable,
Right.
safe, secure, and the data governance is critical. I think this is something we're going to be addressing in your conference
Data governance.
in a short while from now as well. Who owns the data? What happens to data? Under what conditions can this be used by somebody else? Will it be shared or not? How it gets anonymized? What can or cannot be done to it? These are far more pressing concerns versus information resides in a box in this room versus
In
across
some
the
other
street.
room.
Yes.
Yes. So that was something very knowledgeable, and I also got to know a lot about this for sure. So last thing I would like to know, last thing I would like you to tell about is, there are many young innovators listening to you right now. So what is that one advice you want to give them? Second is, apart from health food, if you would have to go for any health startup, looking at the current era, what would it be?
Oh, uh, my my advice is, there's a German word called Zeitgeist, spirit of the times. Today's spirit of the time is to explore the tools, the technology, the ecosystem is abundantly aware. Anybody who's young in the 20s and 30s, default option should be, let's build something, let's explore something, rather than how fast I can settle down into a desk based job. I think uh, in the past 100 years, this is probably the most exciting time to be a young person in India. We're going to be the third largest economy. I think in terms of IT infrastructure, digital aspects, we are really up amongst the best in the world. And these are the tools. The ecosystem is just exploding. So there need not be any other inspiration than the fact that this is the time where everybody is allowed to experiment fast and fail, and still not be sort of really looked down upon. 20
Right.
years ago, this was not the case. You tried something, you failed, you were like really got labeled badly. Now it's a badge of honor. You built two things that didn't work out. There are companies who would really hire you for just being bold enough to do those two experiments. What was the other question?
The other question was, if you would have to do any startup.
Yes. Education and skill in healthcare is a crying need. Government is adding healthcare hospitals in practically every district. Whatever was a CHC is getting upgraded to a hospital. A district hospital is getting upgraded big time. There are so many allied health professionals and streams that are coming up, especially because of all these non-communicable diseases.
Right.
Lot more allied healthcare professionals are required. I think the area to really look at is education and skilling of people in the healthcare and allied industries, because that is the requirement of the country. That is something which will give a big push to this whole heal in India aspect that the government is trying to promote. And society needs it. We have the infrastructure to do it. We just need people who will get down to it and do it.
So, guys, do not step back. If you have an idea, go for the innovation. Do not step back at anything, right? So this was all what you said, right, in the end, to the young innovators listening to you. So that was all my time, and thank you, Dr. Hemant, for being here with me.
Thanks,
It was
thanks for
lovely being
having
with
me.
you and speaking to you about everything that you spoke about. I believe people will get more knowledge and will get more light upon the topics you talked about. And you can also see him on YouTube. What is your YouTube channel, sir? Please tell them.
It's called Medi Universe, MEDI Universe.
So it is Medi Universe, where he talks about everything, making PPTs to making EHRs. So that is what you should listen to. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That was a great time. Stay healthy.